realness.
All right, Fanny, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Theo, you there?
I'm here. Introducing authentic realness.
Hello, and hello again, everyone. We are back for another episode of our Authentic Realness podcast. And certainly it's always a pleasure for me to have the experience of this session. I have gotten to the point now where I'm really enjoying it. It's something that I have started to look forward to. And it certainly is a platform that provides an opportunity for me to share all the many things that cross my mind in this navigation of this thing that we call life. We have had some very intriguing past episodes. We've had quite a few guests recently and have been very pleased with all of our guests and what they're sharing. I certainly encourage all of you to support them. And I also encourage you all to take that deeper dive. Look at some of those things that comedian Mike Goodwin talked about and what he's doing on his website. Looking at Albert Gibbs and all that he's doing with his nonprofit. And even our past episodes where you think about Carl Van and Pass the Keys. So we've just had some phenomenal past guests, great discussions, and certainly products, items that you can support, comedy for a good laugh, a nonprofit where you can make contributions. And I just know for me, it's exciting that me using Buzzsprout as a platform that I'm using for my podcast, what I've found to be so significant about it is that it provides an opportunity for me to do the upload to Buzzsprout, and then it does the dissemination out to all the other platforms that I'm using. With that, Fabi, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent. It's good to have you back on. You've been consistent in the past couple of weeks. And
I have.
In that time period when you were away, but it's always good to have you on. Anything front of mind for you as you think about past episodes or just anything on your mind before we jump into our topic for tonight?
Yeah, the past episodes, just to echo what you said earlier, have really been great. Just hearing from your friends and people within the community. It's really nice to hear their stories, specifically Albert. I've known him for a couple years, but I didn't really know the why behind his nonprofit. So it's great to have these conversations and just dive a little bit deeper and see what folks are doing in the community and where they really want to go. So it's been really great so far.
Yeah, and I'm just most excited about the impact that they all are making. If you think about every guest that we've had, even Jalen, from a vantage point of him making that transition from high school to college, and certainly we know that he will have a successful football career of some type, on some level, somewhere. It was just good to hear his story as well.
Absolutely.
And then ultimately, to reel all of this in, you all know that the true essence of this podcast is around authentic realness, which has to deal with directness and being very forthcoming and those front of mind type situations of just being who you are and truly being unapologetic about that. And it's been amazing and wonderful to see that with the podcast, as well as being an opportunity for me as a consultant to be able to talk about the 8 services that I offer. And the great news is that every guest that I've had, there's been some follow-up discussion about me as a consultant providing some type service to all of them. So looking forward to the business continuing to grow, as well as you all as listeners. If there are any of those things that you have that you're working on Don't feel that you have to have it all fleshed out, that you have to have this perfect, this is what I want to do. That's a large part of what I do as a consultant, is I'm able to help pull that out of you. I'm able to assist in the process of formalizing your thoughts and really challenging you on, is that truly what you want to do, and getting to that why that Fabi alluded to, that we were able to learn about so many of the guests that we've had. But for tonight, we're going to jump right in. And our topic for the night is just do it until you make it. I'll say that again. Just do it until you make it. And I'm not big on comparisons, but because the world is, I'm going to have to make this comment. How often have we all heard or lived our lives on the whole concept of fake it till you make it? And I'll go on record from an authentic realness perspective, that is the most ridiculous foolishness I've ever heard in my life. And the reason for that is that how can any of us think that there's going to be any level of success in something that's fake, that's phony, that's not real? How or why? But we're so quick to just jump on the bandwagon, particularly in this day and age of groupthink, where it's almost frowned upon if you are an independent thinker. It's almost frowned upon if you're the only person who has a conviction and stand behind it strongly. That now makes you that anomaly that is quote unquote bad. I am of the mindset that whatever your truth is, whatever your reality is, whatever is real for you, that's truly what you should be going with. So when we think about the comparison between fake it until you make it, just do it until you make it, polar opposite. The fake it part is making yourself believe and do things that you know aren't true and honest. Just do it until you make it. Literally, it's your truth. It's your reality. It's you doing it. And why this is so significant for me tonight is when I think about myself holistically as a consultant, one of the things that I'm finding too often is this concept where things can look great and amazing and wonderful on the outside. But when you begin to look behind the veil, behind the covers, when you start peeling back, you recognize that it only looks great on the outside. Unfortunately, this is the case with a lot of people who look amazing and wonderful on the outside, but as you get to know them and you start peeling back the authentic realness of who they are, you're like, you're not even as attractive as I thought you were, based upon the fact that now I've gotten to really know you. I've found the same thing to be occurring in organizations, in businesses, in things that people are doing. And my challenge for us tonight is to know in very certain terms that you can have both, that you can be a well-oiled, fine-tuned, running anything and look and be amazing on the outside and still yet be amazing and wonderful on the inside as well with your operations. Now, here's the thing. It's going to take a whole lot of just doing it until you make it for that to happen. There has to be a level of accountability is where it starts. High level. May not necessarily be the person doing it, but you're accountable. So if something needs to be done, if it's your team, if it's your colleagues, if it's your family members, if it's your friends, whomever it may be, at that accountable level, you have to always own it. Good, bad, or indifferent, great outcomes, bad outcomes, indifferent outcomes, it's your responsibility to own it. The other component to that is the responsible party, the person doing the work, the person who is working directly with me. I'm the consultant. I'm working with you to help bring along whatever it is that you're doing. Well, there's a level of transparency that has to happen there. There's a level of we must define very specific dates, and we must hold on to those dates. And we have to have the ability to be transparent enough to fall on our sword when need be to say, hey, I just didn't get it done. Hey, I forgot. Hey, there were too many other competing priorities. And be honest with that. But the flip side of that is also be proactive. If you know there's a due date of Friday and we're on Wednesday, and you know absolutely positively there is no possible way you're going to get whatever it is that you're responsible for done by Friday, how hard is it just to say, hey, I, Aaron, will not have that done on Friday. However, it'll be done by Wednesday. Now, one of the things that I've found in my entire life is the concept of under committing and over delivering. If you know it's going to take you until Friday to get something done, then don't say it's Friday. Say it's next Wednesday. Get it done Friday, and guess what happens? Everybody's now in good graces. So when something comes up, not if, key term, when something comes up, you don't get it done on Friday, you still have Monday. You still have Tuesday, and then you still deliver it on the date that you promised. These are very simple concepts, but these are concepts that we are failing at miserably. And I am of the mindset that there's one specific reason for that. Society somehow, some way appears to be allergic to a spirit of excellence. Somehow, some way, we have gotten to a point where doing things well, having something to be efficient, being effective, not seen as being positive things. And I think about it in so many different ways when we look at life holistically. And you think about the number of things in life that we just accept that are mediocre. Those things that we know the whole essence of it is mediocrity. The concept that anytime someone thinks about the DMV anywhere in the United States of America, the thought is, oh, this is an all-day experience. What? And it's acceptable, that it's okay. I'm starting to see that there are a lot of archaic things that we've accepted as well. When you think about like the insurance industry and this whole concept that there are a lot of things that have to be signed with a wet signature and all these type things. Well, there was a day and age that might have made sense, but that doesn't make sense anymore in this electronic age. And by no means am I saying that we want to accept and allow fraud to be okay. But what I am saying is, as times change, as we evolve, the processes and standards of things that we've done cannot continue to be, oh, we've always done it this way, so we have to do it this way, and we have to continue doing it that way. And I'm seeing that in too many places. I'm seeing it in too many situations. And ultimately, the average human, oh, well, that's just the way it is. And for me, it's unacceptable. For me, it's a situation where in every aspect of my life, my desire is for all things to be running at their optimal at all times. Now, here's newsflash. I fail. I have a situation currently where I'm working on a proposal and there's so many situations that have caused issues with this proposal, and I'm just having to fall on my sword. Yeah, life is crazy. A lot's going on, but there's no excuse. So all of the things that I'm saying right now, let's be very clear. This is preaching for me too. One of the amazing things that Pastor Bernstein said when I first went to New York at the Mount Lebanon Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York, in his book, he talked about for preachers, oftentimes the sermons that they preach are more so for them than they are their congregations. I can definitely tell you, I can align with that. I can tell you that so much that I preach when it comes to my day-to-day talking in every setting, those things that I'm typically saying is for me too. Because the thing about me is I don't give myself a pass off. I will never be in a situation, Fabby, where I hold you accountable and responsible, and then I look the other way for me. For me, it's even worse. And everyone knows I'm a big stickler on holding other folks accountable and responsible. Well, please understand, I really beat myself up. But the beating myself up helps me to be as efficient and effective as I can be, still yet acknowledging that I'm not perfect. Wasn't created to be perfect. And I understand that and I've accepted it. So to wrap this up, as we move into more of a dialogue, Fabi, I would say in very certain terms, fake it until you make it has to go. It has to be eliminated. It cannot be accepted. It just has to go. Let's put an X on it. Put an X on it like we put that X on rich in the Think and Grow Rich book. So now there's an X for me also on fake it till you make it. It's just do it until you make it. Knowing your journey, you won't be perfect, but understand that when you have that as a mantra, as a philosophy, as a part of your core of who you are, at the essence of your being, you will have no choice but to be able to see great things. For me, I see it in every aspect of my life. And it's definitely a significant part of me as a consultant and independent contractor. And it's always my goal and objective to just do it. Thanks again, Nike. Until I make it. Thoughts, Fabi?
Yeah, so I think it's great. I definitely agree with you in regarding fake it till you make it. However, there are some people that might not necessarily be faking it, but they do have to push themselves a little bit more or step outside of their comfort zone a little bit more in order to be that person or show up as that person. So what do you say?
Fake, though. So at that point, you're pushing yourself. You're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, but that's still you. Mm-hmm. I want to be very clear because, of course, I'm big on the essence of a thing. Fake
Right.
for me is you being and becoming something that you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like you literally are selling yourself and the world a wolf ticket.
Right. Okay.
Oh, I know I didn't go to medical school, but I'm a doctor.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no.
Oh, I know I didn't go to law school, but I'm an attorney. Oh, I have millions of dollars and I'm broke. Versus in all those situations, oh, I'm doing what I have to do to move forward with a law degree. Mm-hmm. And currently I'm a paralegal.
Right.
Totally different concept. Same thing. You desire to be a doctor, so therefore you may be doing some things in the medical profession, but you're not a doctor yet. The whole concept of wealth, the concept of the life that you're living, live below your means. You don't have to be out here, quote unquote, on Instagram, Facebook, whatever else folks use, flexing, quote unquote, and you know you're broke. Because here's the thing. You don't have to show your wealth or the lack thereof. Just live your life. Be who you are. Be authentic. So I hear you, but of course my logic is always that radical logic. Now, those people who are pushing themselves, I'm with you. Do what you have to do. Because to me, that still yet falls on the just do it until you make it part. But continue.
No, I agree. Now, when you break it down like that, because sometimes I feel like, I mean, I beat myself up a lot, but I can at times tell myself like, oh, you're being, maybe fake's not the right word, but I'm maybe not being 100% me, but it's because I'm pushing myself to step outside of myself. And so in those instances, I feel sometimes not like myself, not that I'm being fake, but I don't feel like myself, but it's because I'm pushing myself to just, step outside of my comfort zone a little.
And it may be growth and development, because let's be clear that any true seasons of growth for me have never been comfortable. Mm-hmm. Any times of growth that I've had in my life, it's been very uncomfortable. It was very new to me. But at my core, I didn't go from Aaron to Eric. I was still Aaron at my core. Right. Aaron was doing some new things. Aaron was being stretched. But the essence of Aaron remained Aaron. Mm-hmm. This fake it until you make it concept, where I've seen it so often, is that there's a lot of emulation going on. Like they're constantly emulating something. Like, oh, I desire to be X, Y, and Z. These people are already in, quote unquote, those circles I want to be in. So therefore, I'm going to emulate them. Well,
Right.
the problem with that is you don't know if these people truly are what, quote unquote, you say you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you're now setting yourself up for the okie doke from a vantage point of if you don't know self navigating in 2023, you're going to be in trouble because there are too many things that we encounter in this day and age that will have you questioning yourself. It'll have you questioning your decisions. It'll have you questioning your professional aspirations. It'll have you questioning you. So when you're out here in this faking it until you make it phase, you really become somebody that you don't know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And without self-awareness, my own personal life journey has told me in very certain terms, good, bad, or indifferent, or anything else in between, there's always been an essential need for me to be aware. And that's why I tell people all the time, there's nothing that you can say about me that I'm going to be offended about, particularly if it's true. Because anything that anyone ever says about me, if it's true, I already know it. So it turns into, what else do you have? What's new? Where's the new news here? But again, that comes from having a level of authentic realness of who I am.
Right.
That comes from self-awareness. That comes from being certain in who I am, and most importantly for me as a Christian, whose I am. And that's where that my identity comes from, my love of God, my understanding of his word, my relationship with him. And that's not a separation. Like, I don't separate myself from God at work. I don't have to be Bible thumping at work. I don't have to tell everybody, hey, you need to be reading these scriptures with me. But you best believe that the light that I walk around in any situation, they're like, oh, there's something intriguing and interesting about this Plush guy. And it's not just what he has on.
Yeah.
There's an essence of light. Go ahead.
I was just going to go back to your point about faking it till you make it. To me, it's just exhausting to be anybody else but yourself. I
Right.
can't imagine having to pretend or do stuff for other people. It's exhausting enough sometimes just having to be yourself, let alone having to be someone else. So I will never understand that. And I feel like I do see that a lot, especially on social media. People they're just not themselves, and you can tell because it's not authentic. So yeah, I just wanted to make that point as well.
I take it even further for you, Fabi. You think about, it's a lie. And certainly we all have lied at some point in our lives, and we will lie again, all of us. But here's the harsh reality. With the truth, there's nothing to keep up with. It's the truth.
Absolutely.
So you're going to always know, hey, this is what I told Fabi. This is what I told Theo. This is what I told whoever, because it's the truth.
Right.
But when I tell you a lie and I happen to forget, I'm now in trouble. Because then you now like, well, Aaron, you just told me a month ago, X, Y, and Z. Like, what's the deal, dude? Because I'm lying. So when you think about faking it until you make it, that's what it really boils down to. So we can go back to our whole concept of the lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator of faking it until you make it, it's a lie. You now have to keep up with it. And sooner or later, newsflash, how great, wonderful, amazing you think you might be, your lie's going to catch up with you. It's going to catch up with you. Always. And in turn, it catches up with you because you dropped the ball. Because you can't keep up. And you, perfect word, it's exhausting. Like, I couldn't imagine being anybody else other than me. I couldn't imagine having to keep up with Well, I told Fabby this, I told Theo this, I told Johnny this, I told Susie this, I told Mary that. Not worth it for me. Here's the bottom line. So we could even have a conference call with me. Everybody, here's the deal. And this is the deal: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday again. And to your point, it makes it so much easier.
Right.
One of the things that I've found about this whole just doing it until you make it, I sleep very well every night. I have zero stress in my life. I don't entertain foolishness, foolery, or anything else. I don't do drama of any kind from anybody, including myself. And people find that to be very bizarre. Like, well, what? You don't have any stress? No, I don't. Because ultimately, what am I doing by harboring anything that's going on? What can I do about it? Like, what is stress doing? Stress kills. Stress causes bags. Stress causes you to look bad. It ages you. It significantly impacts your health. Why? The drama queens and drama kings of the world. Why? And we all know these people. We all know people who there's always something going on with these people. Always. That in itself for me would be exhausting. So my life for many people actually would be pretty boring because it's not enough action going on.
Right.
Time for it. I'm good. Loving and enjoying life to the fullest in these parts with no foolishness. As my grandmother would so eloquently say, when I eat, my entire family eats. When I close my door, my whole family's with me. And there's a level of freedom that I have from that. Mm-hmm. Now, does God say one day that, hey, there's a wife and kids coming? Hey, if he so says so, then I will embrace it wholeheartedly. But until he says so, I'm enjoying me. Mm-hmm. And any wife and kids that do come along, we don't do foolishness here. We don't do foolery here. We don't do drama here. We don't do stress here. We don't live a lie. We address life head on. Are there going to be difficult situations that we're going to have to totally directly address? Yes. And that's both personally, professionally, and every other level. And I think that's the problem with so many people is that we miss the essence of the fact that when you address things head on, they go away. Mm-hmm. If your right hand is hurting, why are you dealing with your left? Or your right hand is hurting and you, I'm not going to deal with that at all. And I use that because we all can imagine that as I'm saying it. But you think about at work, how many difficult situations do we look the other way on? Because it's difficult. How many personal situations do we look the other way on? Like, it's a complicated, difficult conversation. I'm just not going to, because I have difficult conversations all the time. But here's the bottom line. When I'm done with the conversation, I'm done with the conversation. There's no grudge. There's no hard feelings. I'm not going to get pulled out of my character. I'm not going to be cussing and carrying on. Who does that? Foolishness. Foolery. Not that important. Say what you have to say. Mean what you have to say. Do your part. Keep it moving.
I will say also that when you're not showing up in those ways in your personal life, it's very hard for you to show up in those ways in other aspects of your life.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it. And although I have been very successful in separating my professional life from my personal life, I have found that the energies of both are definitely impactful to the others. Mm-hmm. So if I have things going on personally, it definitely impacts me professionally. If I have things going on professionally, it definitely impacts me from a personal level. So what I have found is to try to level all of that out.
Right.
Situations come up on either side, deal with them, move on. And that's what I had to do with this whole project that I'm struggling to pull this proposal together. It's like, dude, what is wrong with you? But the tug of life was getting the best of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself and say, dude, you got to get it together. And I now that I've analyzed it, assessed it, looked at me holistically, I knew why. I now know why with clarity as to what was going on. But that goes back to the essence of this conversation, self-awareness.
I totally agree with that. The problem is people are scared to spend time with themselves.
Oh my God.
And I feel that you can only have those come to Jesus moments or those real conversations with yourself when you can really sit down with yourself and your mind and process things. But when you're a person who cannot be alone, or you cannot sit with yourself and you're constantly distracted by other things going on, that's where like the cycle, I feel like, continues as well.
Many of us do that intentionally, though. We spend our time around other people all the time so that we don't have to deal with ourselves. Many of us also spend a lot of time with people who we know are jacked up so we can feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
And it was one of the comments that Ham made in one of the early episodes, like, oh, Plush, like, do you really think that you want everybody to be great? Ham, you forgot who you're talking to, brother. For me, I do. I really do want everybody to be great. I really do want everybody to be efficient and effective. I really do want everybody to have the best for their lives. Because one of the things that people have to always remember about the essence of who I am as a person, it has nothing to do with you. So my greatness has nothing to do with me being greater than you. My desire to have a spirit of excellence in everything that I do has zero to do with anybody else. It's not a competition for me. It is me giving my God-given best. That's it. At all times. No respect to anybody else. Because here's the harsh reality. There are going to be people who are going to be greater than me. And for me, I'm not jealous of them. I applaud them. I'm happy for them. I love to see people around me succeeding. And when I say succeed, let's please be clear. This is not money. This is not just a job. This is just holistic. Somebody who's healthy. I'm applauding you. Because it takes work to be healthy. Someone who has a happy marriage, someone who has a happy relationship, someone who has amazing relationships with their kids. All that to me is amazing stuff. And thank God he's blessed me with amazing people in my life. But a large part of that is because who I choose to spend my time with, who I choose to give my ear to, who I choose to mentor, who I choose to be my own mentor. And that's the part that so often we miss. We get to choose people. You get to decide. Spectacular, as always, of course, is a decision. It has nothing to do with what's going on in my life. It's a decision. I've decided I'm going to be spectacular as always because of who God is. And because of that, that doesn't change. Like, oh my God, how are you always spectacular? There, newsflash, secrets out there. It's because of who God is. That's why I'm spectacular as always. Now, how does this go back to me as a consultant? Well, this is how I operate, people. As a consultant, my desire at every time, every moment, is to operate with and from a spirit of excellence. Transparently, telling you all right now the situation I'm failing on. But here's the bottom line. I have adjusted. I've done what I needed to do. I'm taking complete and total accountability and responsibility. And I'm going to fix it. And this particular project is going to be amazing. And the level of success that I'm used to, the project will have. And that's not from a place of being cocky. That's not from a place of, oh, I'm better. It's from a place of, God, you're funny. I am willing to just do it until I make it. Full circle conversation, folks. This is the essence of this Authentic Realness podcast.
Realness.
This is the essence of Aaron R. Plush, the being, the person that God has created. And this is my purpose of life. This is what I'm here to do. And God, I thank and honor you for allowing this journey to be such an amazing one. Fabi, anything else from you?
No, I think this was a really great conversation, a conversation that definitely can resonate with a lot of people in similar situations, as you mentioned, as we all navigate through things in life, especially professionally with projects and things that we have, you know, with a deadline, tight deadline, just really taking time to evaluate and know that it's okay to have that moment to take a time out, to pause, reevaluate, reassess, and then, as you mentioned, make it happen. So really great conversation.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yep.
Just do it again. And truly, the essence that I really want people to take from this conversation, Fabi, though, is the holistic nature of it. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about this from an authentic realness place. Oh, full circle. No, things aren't always great. No, things don't always go well for me either. However, I've made the decision that I'm going to just do it until I make it. Mm-hmm. And that in of itself, I'm already successful. Even that mindset is a mindset of success. And I just pray that people are beginning to connect the dots, that this is serious business of what we're doing in this podcast. This is not this little, Aaron has a little podcast. No, folks, this is life-changing content for all of us. This is a journey for all of us. We just have to be willing to take heed to this movement, because that's what it is. And if you've listened to all the episodes that we've had thus far, as I have done, because I definitely have to go back, and each time I listen, I hear something new. I can tell you all that this has been and is transforming my life. And I pray that it's doing the same for you all. With that, let's look to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father God, we just thank you for being so tremendous, God. Tonight's episode on eliminating fake it until you make it and replacing that with just do it until you make it, God, is certainly a message that resonates with all of us. I pray that the listeners tonight, God, are transformed in a way that if they need to be convicted, that will happen too. Because by all means, God, we want people to be in a better place after they've listened to each and every one of these episodes. God, I'd ask that you would continue to allow the listeners to grow, that you would allow the topics to continue to be broad and topics that are universal, that relate to every aspect of who we are as humans. God, we thank you for speaking to us from a vantage point of our corporate roles and our professional selves, but also, God, things that just impact who we are personally. Because although there is that capability of separating ourselves from a personal level and professional level, we still yet are just one being. And in turn, in that, God, we certainly know that one impacts the other, just as every other aspect of our lives impacts us. God, I'd ask that you continue to be with Fabi and Theo and all the many things that are going on in their lives and with their families. God, I'd ask that you touch my family as well. And then certainly, God, I'd ask that you would touch the families and the lives of all of our listeners, that people might be in a better place once they've listened to each and every one of these episodes, God. So, God, we love you, we adore you, we magnify you, and we say thank you, God. For this prayer, God, we certainly pray it in the glorious and magnificent name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
All righty. And to our listeners, we are just so appreciative of your support, your feedback, and everything that you all are doing, because by all means, the greatest part of this Authentic Realness podcast is each and every one of you.
Realness.
And until next time, let us all be spectacular together.
Realness.